Live. There we go. How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today I'm talking to Chuck Brown. How's it going, sir?
Doing very well, man. How you doing?
Doing okay. Doing okay. I know I was telling you behind the scenes that I'm a big fan of Bitterroot. Love that book. Love that series. I've pushed that series on so many people. It's made it to my hidden gems. It's made it into my Image Comics and list, and then I did an overview of the Bitterroot Omnibus. I have to ask before we go any further, like, are we done with Bitterroot? Because I remember you all did the next movement. The last one that came out was in 2025. Is there more?
Right. We are working on more. We're talking about doing more. We're talking about doing maybe anthology, kind of expanding the universe, expanding on the characters. We kind of time jump from our original arc from 1924 to the 1960s. So we're talking about maybe going back and kind of, exploring more of those characters, developing more of the current characters, and maybe finding out, new creators that kind of help expand the universe and kind of tell their own stories and, maybe keep it going some kind of way because everybody's kind of busy doing their own thing. So, there may be some time before we do another arc. So there may be an anthology in the future that we can kind of go through and kind of dive into more of those characters in the world and kind of expand things a little bit.
So I know, we're here to talk about the Disney villain Scar, but I was so intrigued by this series Bitterroot that came out a few years back. I love the concept. I love the time. Like, this is a period piece that not a lot of people touch upon, and to see it in a comic book format with wonderful artwork. By, of course, the phenomenal Sanford Green, who has gone on and done all kinds of things. So it was you with David Walker.
Right.
I got to ask, man. Say it for me. Say the family name. Because I know I butchered that family every time I do a video.
We all see it different way. Sangria.
Say it one more time.
Sangria.
Yeah. You say we all see it like you.
I mean, David, the one that actually came up with the name Sangria. And we kind of decided, we're both saying it kind of different ways, but it's kind of a made up name, Sangria. So yeah.
I like it, man, dude. And if people have not checked out Bitterroot, it legit is one of my favorite reads. I love everything about that book, man. I'm a big fan of anime too, and every time I read it, I'm like, man, this would make such a nice anime, done in the style of like, oh my gosh, Afro Samurai, like that style.
Right, that'll be dope.
Killer, dude.
That'll be dope, man. But we're maybe some live action stuff going on in the future on the screen or the small screen, but mostly we just gotta focus on just making a really good comic and try to keep it rolling, keep it out there, and not worry about other mediums just yet. Hopefully it'll be in some other format in the future, but for now, we're cool with just making a really good comic for people to enjoy. So,
thank you so much for getting some love. How did that come about, dude? Were you all friends that were in the comic books? Is that how you and Dave got started? Like,
it was first just me and Sanford were friends, right?
Okay.
I was doing a lot of indie stuff, early in my career, just kind of putting it on my own.
Absolutely,
and he was kind of really, skyrocketing and doing, he was doing like Wonder Girl, and he was just breaking into DC. Most of we just hang out watching anime, man, hanging out, and we just you say what you're working on here and there, and I'll tell him what I'm working on, be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna keep going, and then one day he said, hey, what you working on? And I said, Family during the Harlem Renaissance that hunts and kills monsters, and that piqued his interest, right? So we just kind of kept talking about it back and forth. Told me to send him some character profiles for the characters. I sent him the character profiles, kept going back and forth. In the beginning, it was called something else, called Bloodborne in the beginning, and we kind of went back and forth and named it Bitterroot. And I wrote a script here and there, and then it kind of floated apart. And he started working with David Walker on the Power Man and Iron Fist stuff.
Yeah.
And Power Man and Iron Fist take place in Harlem as well. And, David's huge, really into history. We kind of all came together, developed to what it is now, and here we are, man. I'm trying to have fun, make comics, and make a little impact. And we never realized it would blow up how it did. So we're just having fun making comics, and just here we are.
I'm glad that it did. I'm glad that so many people took note of it, because I'll be honest with you, man, with as many and I'm sure you know this, and you probably get told this, but with as many releases as Image has, they come out in single issue, they come out in trade paperback. We're very lucky if the series continues, but not every series, not a lot of series that comes out every month, and there's a lot gets the hardcover treatment. So dude, like legit, I remember when I saw that in the solicits, and I was like, oh my gosh,
right.
They're, you know, I word of mouth goes a long way when it comes to comics, as you know. Like a lot of people find out, especially now in the age of social media or YouTube, people like, oh, talking about this book. But it's really cool. I remember like seeing people talk about it before that omnibus came out and wanting to read it and taking an interest in reading it. So when that omni came out, I thought, oh man, this is perfect. It's great. So I'm very happy for you all. And I've gotten a chance to talk to Sanford Green at a convention. I've never interviewed him. So you and him were friends watching anime.
Yeah.
So we all, okay. Anybody that read comics, right? That's like, is that how you all grew up, reading comics and watching anime or video games, or just basing it on your wall, by the way, of the things you're into?
Right. I mean, I used to read comics. I used to get all my comics from the pharmacy, right? They used to be like the little study rack in the pharmacy. I didn't actually step foot in an actual comic book store until I was like in my I was like 19, 20 years old. I could actually drive to a comic book store. Before that, it was just, the grocery store or the pharmacy or the library and things of that sort. I grew up on, of course, He-Man and Thundercats and things of that sort. And I always just wanted to do it as fun, right? I was kind of creating comic book characters before I knew people were actually getting paid for it, right? So
yeah.
Fast forward, I went to HBCU, Benedict College, met a whole bunch of other like-minded people like Sanford and that were creating comics, and eventually just started kind of putting out our own stuff with other creators in the local area outside the HBCU and within, and here we are, man. So yeah, it's just you just kind of transition from just a huge fan to someone just kind of want to create your own stuff, and before you know it, it's a career. So.
I have to say that it's amazing. I love hearing stories like yours that you're a fan of the stuff, and then you get your stuff out there. You do independent stuff. You're hoping the right person sees it one day. You hope the right ears hear about your book one day, and then eventually it does find a home. And then you're doing other things because you've written for Marvel, you've written for DC, so it's really cool to see how fans become the writers and artists that we now know. Like that to me is an amazing journey, and it takes a lot of work because it's not easy, as you know, and sometimes there's a lot of heartache when it comes to this. I don't think I think I've interviewed just a handful of people that were like, yes, the first time I tried drawing or writing, I got a call and they want to publish my book. Like you never hear that really. A lot of times it's just the struggle.
Right. It is. I mean, I don't want to be a downer, but yeah, it's a lot of struggle, man. Like we were talking earlier. About how people's books. I was talking to other creators about how their book was kind of doing okay at Image, but once those numbers go down, it's gone. They cancel it, right? So you don't get to finish a story. So I've been very lucky with Bitterroot, but I've had 2 other books in Image that did okay, but not enough to have like ongoing. Right, it made it to a trade or that sort. So even if you do, put all your heart and soul into it, and you still get it published. If those numbers don't stay up, then it's gonna get, it's gonna get the chopping block. So it's always a struggle. It's always anxiety. But like I said earlier, as long as you just love what you do and you care about it, and you got to put that first, and you have to have the business side of things and just be aware that if those numbers aren't up. If the audience isn't there, and if you're not visible to the world, then it may not last. So just do your best, try to enjoy it best you can, and try to have a business mindset when you go into
it. I think a lot of people forget about that part, right? It's like there's definitely the grind when you're younger.
Including myself. Sometimes forget about the business side of it, the marketing side of it. Being visible. If you're not online and if you're not present, you don't exist.
Yeah,
So
it's so different now. But you figure it'd be easier now with social media and people that have like when the deviant art come about 20 years ago, whenever deviant art was big, right? People were like, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, and a lot of these artists got found through there, like Russell Donnerman. Who was it? Is it Jeff? Scotty Young? Like just people that got lucky, and luck has sometimes a lot to do with it too. Luck has something to do with it too. It's the grind and a little bit of luck and keep on doing it too and not giving up. This is this is really cool. I want to thank Mr. Brown for his amazing work on Bitterroot. I have to ask how difficult this was. I had the honor of translating that series for the Mexican market. It was hard, but I learned a lot about African American culture, dude.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
I don't even know how that would go about. Like, woo, because you gotta get the tone right. And
wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Wow.
Bitterroot is my favorite comic book about African American culture. Dude, it's solid. Like, I love that it's a period piece. That's my favorite thing. Right. That's my favorite thing about that book, because I don't, I think it still would be cool, especially with Sanford's art. But if it had taken place in modern time, I feel like it probably would have gotten lost with all the other books that are out there. But the fact that it took place at the specific time with a specific family, it just elevated it to another level. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And plus, we learn a lot of things through comics. I've talked to one of my favorite interviews, the Garth Ennis interview, and we both bonded over learning history through comic books. He learned about war and a couple of things that got him intrigued into like his just check out history books from the library. And that was the same way with like X-Men, learning about why do people from Vietnam speak French? This is strange. And like not even thinking about it because we didn't have the internet back then, and then just learning through it. It's great. I love it. So the books that you're doing also make people, learn a little bit about the culture and everything else that was happening at the times.
Right.
So how did you come from that? How did you go from that and end up with a Disney villain, one of the coolest Disney villains, Scar?
Right. Man, it's so many different steps. I was doing Bitterroot. I did On the Stump. I did a book On the Stump. I did Flawed as well through Image. And I ended up getting in contact with Disney, with Nick Cosby at Disney. And I don't even remember how, but I think my first gig with him was a Red Sonja story, right? I think someone had dropped out. He needed another writer to replace them.
Okay.
So, like a really short Red Sonja story. And that Red Sonja story just really impressed him, right? And from there, he just kind of kept giving me work here and there. I got the John Connor of Mars series, and I got the Deja Thoris series. And from there, of course, naturally, the Disney villains opportunity came up, and of course, I jumped on that real quick because I'm a huge Lion King fan. I love Scar, and I love Disney villains, so it's like it was a no brainer. So it was fun. It was it was a little unreal that I got a chance to do it. So. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with it, man. It's really cool. Really cool.
How different was writing? Okay, so you're writing a well-known Disney character. Right. Not that Aquaman is not that Black Panther is not, but this is a Disney property character, and they are very peculiar about their product. So, did you find it more difficult to write it? Like, did more things have to get approved by editorial before seeing it on print?
Man, I got for this Scar book, again, it was really smooth, man. This gel with it, it was really smooth. There wasn't a whole lot of rewrites. I'm not gonna lie, there are other projects that I've been on that are like, really meticulous, really a lot of changes. But I guess got lucky with this one. People were filling the story that I was the editors and Disney were filling the story that I was wanted to develop and wanted to put out, and there wasn't a whole lot of rewrites. So this was really smooth, right? There have been other Disney projects that I worked on that just didn't work out. That was, back and forth, doesn't work out, and then, ended up getting canceled. But this one, went really smooth. So it wasn't a headache at all. It was fun,
And I love Trevor Fraley, right? He's the artist on the book.
Right. Solid. So awesome.
Solid artist, dude. So I got to read the first issue, and this is the first time it's being collected in a collected edition through the
Right.
Kickstarter that Dynamite. By the way, I did put a link in the description of the video to the link to the Kickstarter. So
Right.
what they're doing first is releasing all of these in a collected edition. So all the Disney villains, including Scar, but Maleficent, Cruella de Vil, and Hades.
Right.
They're all going to be collected in different formats. There's limited editions. I think the covers for the limited editions are all done by J. Scott Campbell.
Right.
But there's paperback editions, and then there's hardcovers, of course.
Yeah,
And it's just really cool because Scar, I think what happened, I talked to Nick at Dynamite about this. The reason why they could never collect it because when did you write this?
Man, I don't remember. Was it 24 maybe? 2024 maybe?
24. Okay.
3?
So
yeah.
the first issue launch, and what ended up happening is that 2023, by the way, is when the first one came out. So what happens is that if Disney has a movie or a property out there, like a Lion King live action movie or something, they have some interesting license with that, where another company cannot release a trade paperback or collected edition of a character that appears in said movie for 2 years.
Okay.
So that's why Scar was never printed in a trade paperback or hardcover. And now it finally is getting it in this form.
Because that live action movie was out at the time? Was that?
Yeah, and they had some kind of weird, like, copyright material, man. It's all so strange.
Yeah, they do that with Batman too. Like, they can't be like a Batman can't like appear in certain TV shows, like on any DC platforms or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's always some weird rules, man. Whenever you're playing with IP, right? It's always it's always a bit of a gamble as to when it will be reprinted. And so I'm really glad it is, because I've gotten to read the rest of them, and I never finished Scar, so I'm really glad that it's finally coming out. And it just the first issue was awesome, so I can't wait to read the rest of it.
Awesome.
Is this something that you could see yourself doing again, touching another character property like Scar, like not necessarily the Lion King, but I don't know. Were you a big Disney guy growing up? You mentioned anime, so you're into art.
I was a little bit of everything. I love I guess my favorite Disney movie is probably I'm gonna be Aladdin. So
yeah,
I really like that one. But yeah, I'm a huge Disney fan, but I do love Disney. I do love the Disney characters. But I do see myself writing any kind of villain again, right? I do enjoy, and I like Black Man, of course, right? The Black miniseries for Disney. But any kind of villain, I am kind of interested in exploring their minds and what made them become a villain, that type of thing. So if the opportunity came along, I'd definitely be down with it. I am talking to Dynamite now about more stuff, not Disney necessarily, but just working with Dynamite in general with some more stuff. So.
I mean, they've Dynamite, dude. It's where a lot of these IPs are. Not only is it Disney, but they also have like Warner Brothers. They have this. We haven't seen that since the days of Gold Key Comics. That Warner Brothers and Disney IPs are both licensed by Dynamite. That's crazy.
Not that nice.
Do you find it difficult to write villains? Because I always think of comic books. They're all about heroes. They're all about hope. And I always look at comic books like Sinestro or comic books like Magneto, that I wonder, how does that go on for 20 plus issues or 60 issues sometimes with some villains?
Right.
And what makes it so compelling? What makes it so magnetic, if you will, for people to come and gravitate towards? Do they like to see what makes a villain a villain? Do you find it challenging, or do you find it just as easy?
It's anything we can do on a licensed product. The challenge just to make sure you do justice by the character and you do justice by the fans, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on you and things of that sort. But like I mentioned earlier, like my first time, setting foot in a comic book store was I was basically in my 20s. I was an adult, and the first thing I bought was Spawn, right?
Yeah.
So that was Spawn had a huge impact on me. He's not a villain, but he's definitely what we call like an anti-hero, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the kind of stories I kind of like, stories like that. So transitioning from an anti-hero to a villain isn't that hard for me, it's kind of like my element, something I enjoy doing. I want to get inside their minds. not necessarily make them a good person, right? Scar killed his brother. He's he's evil, right? But you want to kind of see how he got there, what made him that way. Not necessarily,
Yeah.
yeah, you can humanize them in a sense, and see, how did this character get to where they are,
So how do you pitch the Scar series to people that have never read it or only familiar with the movie? Like, does it take place before the movie, during the movie? Like, how do you pitch your Scar series?
It's very when they approach me about it, it takes place basically like before actually Simba goes to the boneyard in the movie, right? It happens between the time he was born and the time he goes to the boneyard, right? And it's all about Scar's plan to basically take over Pride Rock and him kind of basically crashing out and hitting rock bottom and finding the right allies to basically take over the kingdom and to be king, right? And it's also about his inner guilt, and how he's just that little brother that's just weaker than his older brother, and he just basically has nightmares about not being good enough and how he believes he should be king. And it's just his journey of basically hitting rock bottom, visions about the future and how he should be king and how he kind of met the hyenas and how he made different allies you may not be aware of that I kind of created specifically for the series.
Okay. No spoilers. Got it.
Right.
Read Bitterroot was option for a Ryan Coogler directed movie. Oh, with success of Sinners, this is still in the works. I love Sinners, but I think Bitterroot goes way deeper.
Oh, wow. Thank you. You want me to answer that or?
I want you to answer what you can answer.
Yeah. So Bitterroot was optioned back in like 2019, actually, right?
Wow.
With Legendary Pictures, and we then started trying to find writers and directors and producers, and eventually, we were able to get Ryan Coogler attached and Regina King attached.
Whoa.
And this is 2019, right? So we had a nice momentum, but then there was the pandemic hit in 2020, and then the writer's strike. So things kind of went away with Legendary. So right now it's just we still have ties to Ryan Coogler and Regina King, but it's kind of kind of in limbo right now. So like I mentioned before, it could happen. Sex Criminals just got optioned. Recently, right? And that came out like several years ago.
That's been in the works forever. This
right. So right. So it could be something like that. It's still in the works. It's still a possibility, but again, we just kind of focus on making really, really good comics and fingers crossed. And something like Sinners, like you said, it's not going to do anything but help. I think so that does well. Then more eyes on Ryan and more eyes on Bitterroot. So.
I don't know if you can answer this, and I don't know if how this even works, but if it's something like this, if like what he's saying, if it's option for Ryan Coogler to direct the movie, right, whether it happens or not, how does that work for you all? Like, you can't shop it around anymore. Like, it ain't like Steven Spielberg can call you and be like, hey, let's do this, and you're like, but we got this thing with Ryan Coogler. Like, how does that work?
I mean, it's still ours. We still own it, and we can still shop it around. But it's more like an unofficial attachment, I think, right? Like
okay.
Unofficially attached, like a collaborator in a sense, right? Anybody else can be a part of it, right? There could be any actors attached, any studio attached. Because right now we're still somewhat free agents, but we do have ties to proximity media,
Gotcha. Okay. Would you write a comic book about Shadow Man from Princess and the Frog? He's one of my. I thought you meant Shadow Man from Valiant. One of my.
I was thinking about that too. Yeah.
Three favorite villains, along with Hades and Scar.
That would be really dope. I would absolutely do something like that. Yeah, I would love to dig deeper into that kind of character because Shadow Man isn't that he's based off of I can't think of his name. Papa Ligra, I think. He's based off.
I'll be honest with you. I've seen the Prince and the Frog one time.
Right. Yeah, I would absolutely love to.
Yeah. And dude, when I read, okay, I'm gonna come clean, Chuck. Now that I get to talk to you face to face. When I read Bitterroot, most people probably think like, oh yeah, that's right. This is that part of Harlem. This is that time. my brain went to an episode of the Ghostbusters cartoon. That's where my brain went. The cartoon, the real Ghostbusters, the cartoon. It's when they all have to play that band, that jazz band that keeps showing up then through different times. I don't know. Did you ever watch that cartoon growing up?
Sounds so familiar, man.
Yo, dude, that episode is so. That season 1 of Real Ghostbusters was good. Anyway, that's where my brain went. As soon as
the style does, lend itself to that, that old Ghostbusters cartoon. So,
dude, I love that stuff.
Yeah, right.
I agree. Chuck Brown on Spawn. You mentioned Spawn. You need to call the Todd father. You need to make some phone calls, man. There's Rat City Spawn. There's She Spawn. There's
I'm gonna read this recently, actually.
Gunslinger Spawn. Yeah, man. The Spawn universe is growing.
That would be dope, man.
It does not stop.
We did we got him on my Spawn series. I got Nat Jones to do a Spawn cover. Nat Jones did Medieval Spawn back in the day, and I think Image had this promotion where you could have your character, with Spawn in your book, right? So Nat Jones did Spawn and my character Flawed on a rooftop together. So that was kind of a dream come true. That was pretty cool.
So Scar, Bitterroot, and you worked on Marvel and DC characters.
Right.
You've had Black Panther, Aquaman, Black Manta, Wolverine, right?
Yeah, Wolverine, the short story, Wolverine versus Hulk. Yeah.
Yep, and Punisher. Who's the young Chuck Brown? Who's the kid Chuck Brown character that's like, man, come on, man, we got to write this story. Yeah, this was the guy we liked, or the girl. Who's the character that you liked when you were a kid?
Oh man, I haven't had an opportunity yet, man. But it's definitely going to be Spider-Man, dude. That was love to write Spider-Man, and even when I was a kid, there was no Miles Morales Spider-Man, right? That way I was just a huge Peter Parker Spider-Man. But now that there is Miles Morales, doing Miles Morales would be awesome. That would be cool. That would satisfy the kid in me. Absolutely. Yeah.
To a whole generation of kids, that is Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They don't give a crap about Peter Parker, man. It's all about Miles Morales. It's adorable, and it's so cool to see. Because that's what it's about, right? It's the next generation that are going to be the readers that are going to keep this going. Right. Look at my boy Logan asking the questions I was going to ask later on. Top 3 anime characters.
Wow, I got to think.
Okay, I'll make it easier while you think. I'm going to make it easier for you.
Okay.
I see Shenron back there. Who's the best Dragon Ball Z character?
Oh man, I love Krillin, man. I love my boy Krillin.
Krillin, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, okay. He's the underdog, man. He's a human,
Yeah.
Among these gods, right?
Wait. Yamcha's the underdog.
He is, well, yeah, he really is the underdog. But at least Krillin hanging there a little bit longer than Yamcha.
Yeah, he did.
Yamcha's dope and cool, but Krillin's underdog. Yeah. Really old anime called Ninja Scroll. You ever heard of that one?
Oh, yes.
Classic, right?
Yes.
Right. Afro Samurai. Love Afro Samurai.
Yep.
That blew my mind when it first came out. That was really cool. And let's see. I'm thinking a little more up to date. My son got me into Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Into that.
Yeah, kids love that one.
Yeah, my son got me into that, and I'm like, wow, this is really dope. So I guess that's my top 3.
So my daughters, they have friends that all come over, and they sometimes watch. They're 16 and 13, and all their friends are like, "Oh, Jujutsu Kaisen!" Yeah. I was walking in one day, and I'm like, "Man, I like this better when it's called Dragon Ball Z." Y'all ever see Dragon Ball Z?
Dude, it's all Dragon Ball Z, man.
It's all Dragon Ball. I was like, been there, done that. None of these characters are like original. Get that out of here.
Did your kids hate on Dragon Ball too? Because my kid be hating on Dragon.
So no, I am that type of parent. I am that type of parent, Chuck, that I watch Dragon Ball Z with my daughters. Like, I ain't watch no damn Dragon Ball Z Kai. In this house, we watch Dragon Ball Z with the fillers.
Right.
And when people ask me, they're like, "What's wrong with you, man? Don't you want your kids to like it?" I'm like, "See, my kids, I'm trying to teach them a lesson. in order to appreciate the good things in life, you got to go through the bad things.
Right.
And you got to go through the crappy fillers. You got to go through Planet Namek about to blow up, 8 episodes. Like, otherwise, they're not going to appreciate the good things that happen in Dragon Ball Z. If I show them Kai, it's just the good things.
Right. We sat through, 2 episodes of conversations, right? And standing there, looking at each other, waiting to fight. So they get action like right off the bat,
Yeah. There's no fillers anymore. People just take breaks now. Anime is like, we're going on a break. We'll be back when we're caught up with the manga. It's crazy. But back in the day, that's what it was, though.
I tried getting into One Piece, but it's just so many episodes. It was daunting, man. Just so much. But one day I'm gonna sit down and just, watch as much as I possibly can. So just so much, too much to watch.
We watched some of the early seasons and the movies. I've read the manga. My wife loves the manga. She's caught up. Like, she's caught up digital. She's like getting them like when they drop in Japan. She's like, I gotta know what's going on. And I got back into it because of the live action show. The live action show was good, dude. If you haven't seen it,
I hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's solid. Like, the live action show was so good. Like, my brother was like, I'm gonna buy that One Piece box set because I need to know what happens next.
I guess that's
he started reading the manga because of the live action show. They did such a good job adapting it.
Nice.
Like, no joke, man.
Nice.
Which is it doesn't happen very often when you have a anime adaptation into a live action movie. We get things like Ghost in the Shell. Like back in the day, do you remember Fist of the North Star by Canon Pictures? Oh, dude.
Yes.
Like,
that was dope. It was brutal, though. It was dope. Yeah, I love it.
Guyver was okay.
Guyver. That was good. The live action Guyver was really good.
Yes.
Jimmy Walker was it near? You know what Jimmy Walker is from?
Yes, sir.
Good Times. Yeah, he was.
I always say Dynamite because of Jimmy Walker.
Right. I'm showing my age, man. But yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, your toys were doing that. That's why I was like, we're gonna get along because that's the same stuff I watched and grew up on, man. Right. So, to me, it's amazing to see people that grew up watching the same things I did, enjoying the same things I did, and then get to work in comics. I love that, dude. I love that for you. And I know that, things are always in the works too. So I'm glad that you're writing things at Dynamite and you've got openings at Marvel and DC. Yeah. And hopefully one day we'll get some more of that Bitterroot back, man. It's hard to get all three of you together again.
Man, it's getting us all on the same page and get us all moving. Everybody's so busy, going their own directions. But there will be more in the future. Just keep your eyes open.
Good, because I need a second omnibus to go with that book. Because that miniseries, man. It was only collected in a trade paperback, so I hope one day we'll get a omni of that.
Yeah.
Paikuhan was a nice addition to the Dragon Ball Z fillers. I actually like some fillers of Dragon Ball Z. I like when they Piccolo and Goku get a driver's license. It's stupid.
Oh, wow. It's stupid. I remember that. Yeah.
Right. Those dudes can fly. They don't need a driver's license, but I loved it, man.
The training stuff. When they're training, that's kind of cool. I don't mind that. That's filler stuff. Any kind of training montage, I'm all for that. So,
live action Dragon Ball Z is not what I was talking about. Yes, that was rough, man.
Not that one. No, not that.
I believe the Bitterroot omnibus is still in print.
It is. You can still get it in stores. Yeah, There's actually a local comic book shop for a copy, and they'll order your copies. They don't already have some.
Yeah, it is still in print.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So good to hear. What else is in the works for Chuck Brown? What else is Chuck Brown working on these days?
Just a lot of irons in the fire, man. I am working on. I'm just writing right now, and I have found an artist for. I'm going to pitch a series to Image probably at the end of the year. I want to say ongoing, but you know how it is, like those numbers again, right?
Yes, sir.
So my goal is going to be ongoing. I'm writing it as an ongoing series. I'm going to pitch it, and I'm going to talk to Eric Stevenson and kind of see, how he feels about it, and and it's all about how the market is right now. I'm in talks with Disney, like I mentioned, to do another licensed property. Hopefully that'll pan out. I'm always playing phone, email tag with Marvel and DC editors, trying to get some things going. Few characters I'm really passionate about. I do have a Miles Morales pitch in the back of my head. No No, nothing, nothing concrete, but just it's something I really want to do, an idea I have about Lost in general.
Mhm.
Also have also really getting active in my Substack right now. I'm going to start publishing a series of short stories on my Substack starting in March.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
yeah, I'm going to be partnering with artists to get the kind of they're prose short stories, so I'm going to be partnering with artists as well to kind of have like promo pieces and things of that sort to promote it, and prints to kind of sell at conventions, and do a series of interconnecting short stories on my Substack. And like I said, writing my ongoing series that I'm working on with an artist, and hopefully we'll see something next year. And of course, still trying to do some more Bitterroot stuff and expand that universe and writing some short stories for the anthology we've been kind of talking about. So that's about it right now. And a few other projects in the works. I am co-writing a screenplay right now on spec. Of course, it's on spec. Trying to kind of get some things stole from my own IPs. And that's kind of where I am now, just trying to write as much as I can. Going to do a lot of comic book conventions this year, trying to build up my Substack and just kind of share what I'm working on with people.
What out of curiosity, and for people watching and watching later, what conventions will you be going to this year?
So at the end of the month, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up since I'm here. At the end of the month, I'm going to be doing Charlotte MiniCon.
Oh, okay. That's what Chris was talking about. I think this is Chris Sparks right here.
Oh yeah, Charlotte. Oh yeah. Yeah, Charlotte MiniCon.
Chris, good people.
Oh, BlurredCon in Arlington, Virginia. That's March 6th to the 8th. I'm going to that. More than likely, I'm going to be doing C2E2. That's March 27th. Definitely confirmed for MomoCon in Atlanta, Georgia on the 21st. Confirmed for Tyrant Comics and Art Expo June 6th. Every year I do Heroes Con June 12th. I highly recommend any con.
Yeah, that's mine and my wife's favorite convention in America.
It's just strictly about comics. Nothing against wrestlers and a whole bunch of vendors, but it's just strictly about comics and creators and just fans. So that's a really good one. San Diego Comic Con. I won't be set up there or anything like that. Atlantic Comic Con in August 12th, and Dragon Con and New York Comic Con. That's the only ones I'm.
Dang, dude, you are a busy dude.
Yeah, man. So you gotta be
get that Chuck Brown name out there again.
Right, I'm not mentioning the ongoing series here, but at these cons, I will be trying to show people what I'm working on, and kind of build that audience and build that Substack up and build my newsletter up and kind of share people on a personal level on what I'm working on, have kind of a grassroots build up of things instead of just putting on the web and let it disappear in the void. I'm trying to kind of condense my audience on Substack again.
But I think the convention floor is a really good way for networking too. You get to meet several artists, editors. Editors are very important because sometimes they're walking the floor.
Right, that's true.
And every once in a while they'll have like a talent search. Like I know Top Cow has their talent search, so it's really good for like up and coming artists and writers. But if you already got your foot in the door, I think it's a wonderful place to start. Keep networking, right? So your name isn't like, oh, you're Chuck Brown. You're the guy that's writing.
Right.
You're the guy that wrote Scar. You're the guy that wrote Black Manta. Cool. Right. I think it's very important for comic book creators. I'm still waiting on my notice of San Diego, and then we'll be going to New York. We're still on the fence about Heroes Con because we are traveling to the UK this summer, but be good to see you, man. That was the point. Okay, here's a question for you, Mr. Brown. What do you think of Berserk? You ever read it or watched it?
I've watched it. I haven't read it, but I've watched it. I do enjoy it. It's very bloody. It's more like it's one of those things I honestly put on while I'm working in the background. I couldn't tell you the full story, honestly, but I do love the art style. I do love the action. I do love a lot of gore. So I do enjoy it. I can't tell you a whole lot about it, but I do enjoy it.
Chuck, we got to sit you down and watch Berserk. Like you need to pay attention when you're watching Berserk because it will change your life, man. You're gonna be like, I gotta get rid of these Dragon Ball Z statues and replace them with Berserk statues. Right. It's that good, dude.
It's one of those things I play in the background. Honestly, I will maybe sit down and watch it one day. Yeah.
It's my favorite manga. I love it. As a non-manga fan, asking Berserk is worth it as a manga. It is, but I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know how old you are. I would not let my daughters at 13 and 16 read it. Would I read it as a 13-year-old? You bet your ass I would have, but not my kids.
Yeah,
Not my kids. And also it's a little bit of a slow burn. It has a little bit of a slow, goofy beginning, and then it gets serious. There's a flashback scene. The flashback scene legit lasts, I want to say, like 10 Tonkabons. So 10, like, it's not a flashback, it's like the story. And that's where the hook is. That's where what Berserk is. And that's my pitch. I don't want to tell you what it's about, but oh man, it is phenomenal. I love that story. When did you write Black Panther, and has your run ever been collected? What was that experience like?
It wasn't a run, really. I wrote Black Panther back when the first movie came out.
Yes, sir.
And Marvel was doing, it's like a commercial thing. Marvel was doing like a partnership with Lexus. So it was kind of a partnership where Black Panther, it was a Black Panther story, but there was a Lexus involved in the story, in a sense, right? And it was distributed by Lexus at like a trade show or a trade event or something like that. So it was more of like a custom comic in a sense. It wasn't like a mainstream comic that you buy in the stores. So it was called Ghost of the Machine. So,
and it has not been collected anywhere, to answer the second
no, it's a single issue. No, it's a single issue.
Yeah. I have a personal question, and I think it was Amy that told me this about you. Were you in IT?
I was in IT, yeah, for like 7+ years. Yeah, yeah.
So you and I have something very common. I was in IT for 20 years of my life. That was my career, right? That's what I was supposed to do for the rest of my life. 2020 hits. I lose my job. Like everybody else, like 70% of people in the field that I was in at the time here in Kentucky. And I never liked it. I was just good at it. I had started this channel 10 years ago, so in 2016. And in 2020, it was 4 years old. And I saw that, because of COVID, it started growing. And this is what I do now for a living. Nice. I didn't quit my job, and I was stressing, and it was difficult, man. I'm like, I got let go. I couldn't find anything, and couldn't find anything in 2020. And my wife and I looked at the channel, and we changed some things up. And this is what I've been doing since 2020 full time. I went full time in 2021. Like, told everybody, this is what I'm going to be doing. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then at least I gave it a shot. Awesome. So you and I have something very in common, because I think she told me it was around 2020 when you had decided to leave IT.
2021. 2020 was actually 2021 as well. Right. I had just gotten the Black Manta miniseries, and the Bitterroot thing was kind of really taking off. Yeah. And also, I probably, honestly, I probably would have stayed at that job, but it was you don't leave job because you don't leave jobs because of the job. Sometimes you leave because of management, in a sense. And I knew what was going to transpire. I had to go, in a sense, right? It's just ideology wise, I had to just leave because it just wasn't going to be a safe environment. Let's say that. So that's why I kind of just had to pack up and go. So
no, respect, man. I think it's great that you found success in doing this, what you love, right?
Oh yeah.
And that is very rare. That is very rare to find success in what you love. But the people that do, I find most of them are genuine and legit, like really enjoy doing this for a living. And it's like you mentioned, there's a lot of struggle. Like, it's a lot of keeping your head up and staying positive. It's not easy. Yeah. There's, I both love, and it breaks my heart to go into Artist Alley. I love going to Artist Alley to see all these new people. And it breaks my heart when somebody is just sitting there that is trying to pitch their stuff and thinking, nobody's coming over here to talk to me. Nobody's interested in my book.
Yeah.
And my wife and I do try to pick a couple of tables, every time we go to a con, and start talking to people and just pick up a couple of pieces here and there to show some love and support, because I know what it's like when it feels like no one's watching.
Yeah.
Damn, I put a lot of hours into that video and it ain't working.
Yeah.
Just what it's like to also be on that side of man, ain't nobody reading this stuff. What am I doing?
Right.
So yeah, it's both wonderful. Especially Heroes Con is great, because Heroes Con's you're thrown in, and you could be between Chris Claremont and someone else.
Right.
It's kind of like you're thrown into the madness. So like Artist Alley really doesn't exist because it's all Artist Alley at Heroes Con, and that's what I love about it.
And what keeps you going at those cons? Sometimes like it could happen. Where you're sitting there, and no one's showing up, right? But you also have your neighbor to talk to, right? And maybe your neighbor is doing well, and you kind of watch what they do and how they do it and how they set up. And sometimes people give you advice, so you just kind of feel your way around. Try to get to know the element and try to get people to come to your table best you can. Don't shout out with a bullhorn or anything like that, but just be alert. Be aware, keep your head up. And make eye contact, say hello to people, and hopefully the rest will follow. A lot of different elements go in to get people to come to your table and picking up a book. Because back in the day, I used to go to cons and no one would stop by, no one would check out what I'm working on. So it's all about sticking to it, watching your environment, and just kind of adjusting your strategy. And again, just have somewhat of a business eye for it.
That's some great advice.
Yeah,
I like the idea of sticking to it too.
Yeah.
Because it's sometimes it's disheartening, and you're like, I ain't doing this crap again. That was a waste of time, waste of money. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I got to a point where I'm most of the cons I go to, I try to be cons where I'm invited to go, right? So that way, I don't have to have such a huge expense, right? Like I'm going to San Diego, no one's paying for that, right? That's all me going to network to try to meet people. But Heroes Con is nice enough to invite me, make me a guest, so that way my costs kind of stay low. So that sort of thing.
Yeah. And that's wonderful that they do that. Yeah, San Diego's so big. I mean, and so Hollywood these days too. That it's so different than what it used to be. I haven't been to San Diego Comic Con since 1997. Like that was the last year I went. And I did hear that in 2020, when they reopened the doors in 2021, 2022, apparently that was like the best San Diego Comic Con it's been in years because it was no Hollywood. It was all comic books again. So kind of like Heroes Con has been for all these years, which is a big convention that my wife and I push here on the channel. We love that con.
Right.
And we want it to keep going. And I'm trying to see if we can make it. Oh man, I'm still in IT. I want to live that dream too, Mr. Poole. Dude, there are days that I always say the grass is always greener. And I'm not saying it's bad, but it's still work. You take it seriously. Have any legendary writers taken you under their wing or given you advice? If so, what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Oh wow, that's a good question. Think about that. David's really a seasoned writer. David was more seasoned than I was when we first met, right? So even before we were working together, not necessarily advice. It's just kind of seeing how he moves through life, right? He just very honest about his mental health, right? And just seeing another Black man that honest about the mental health, it really helped me just be more honest about mine, right? And just there could be someone watching that needs to hear that they're not alone in this, right? That depression is real. That even though we do comics and doing stuff we love, we can still get depressed. We can still hard to get out of bed, type of thing, right? And just to knowing that it's that it's okay, it's normal, it's natural to get depressed, and it's natural for it to hinder your work sometimes, right? So as long as you acknowledge it, you can fight it. So that's kind of what I learned from him, not necessarily, more indirectly from him. Even though we go through stuff, you can still fight it, you can still be successful, and you can still put it in your work and and be somewhat as a therapy for you. My writing is therapy, honestly.
That's beautiful to hear.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people put their heart into stories sometimes and deal with it's kind of therapeutic. I've interviewed a few creators that have told me that. Like one in particular that comes to mind is he had problems with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like his dad walked away from his life at a young age, and he was like, yeah, every effing comic I've ever written has daddy issues in it. If you pay attention, every comic, as funny as it may be, has some kind of father issues in it. And that's the reason why, and that's how I deal with it.
Right.
And I think when you pour so much into a story like that yourself, I think people take notice, like people pay attention more. So I think that's great that you do that. And favorite comic writers, Mr. Brown?
Favorite comic writers.
Yeah, do
Wow.
you have any inspirations? Like who were your favorite writers growing up?
Dwayne McDuffie had a huge
Yes,
impact on
sir.
everything he did with Milestone, and then the things he did with the Justice League series. That was a huge.
You like his Justice League? Dude, I thought his Justice League was so underrated. I love
good, man. Such a great series, man.
The Injustice League story is one of my I think it might be my favorite Justice League story.
Man. The Injustice League, right? Seeing what's going on in the world right now, like we need that for real. Man. We need somebody to just walk up into the UN and like, hey, cut out, man.
They ain't even trying to hide out anymore in the.
It's like just walk Superman just flying the UN, like, hey, enough. We need that right now. But yeah, that was some great storytelling.
Yeah, I love Dwayne, man. He was one of the best. Rest in peace. Gone way too soon. Life sucks sometimes, man. He was a great writer.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Do you have any modern writers that you keep up with comics nowadays, like single issues? I saw you holding some up, but
sometimes, I mean, I got, I'm kind of scouting artist in a sense, but I love Spawn, of course. But sometimes when you get so buried, so deep in the trenches of just kind of creating, you don't really get to enjoy like you really want to, So a part of me kind of wants to make a really, really successful comic and make a whole lot of money so I can have more time just to read comics, right? So I love Todd McFarlane stuff. I love anything David Walker's working on. He's working on Blackenstein right now, his own creator-owned book. I love his stuff. I'm really loving what they're doing with Absolute Batman over at DC. I've read Daniel Warren Johnson's his one shots. I love what he's doing, his writing and his artwork. I'm outside of comics. I really love. I might say his name wrong, but Chuck Palahniuk, or I think it's Palahniuk, but he wrote Fight Club.
Fight Club, yeah. My wife's a big fan of his books.
I've probably seen his last name wrong, but
I butcher everybody's name, man. Yours was easy, Chuck Brown. I got that one.
Yeah, right. But he's a huge influence on me as well. So that's
okay. Yeah, my wife's a huge fan of Fight Club. She read the book, she read the comic, which was Fight Club 2, which was really interesting for a sequel to come out in a comic book format.
That came out through Dark Horse, right?
Yeah, man. Maybe 20. Oh my God, time flies, dude. Maybe 20 years ago or so.
20 years? No, couldn't have been. No.
Dude, time. Like, seriously.
No. 5 years, right? Like 5-6 years.
Dude, 20 years ago to me, still 1980. 20 years ago, 1980. I hate to think that 20 years ago is 2006.
Jesus.
That's reality. That's reality, which is just insane, dude.
It's like grown people walking around. I was born in 2006. That's wild.
I have co-hosts that were born around that time, and I'm like, ow, man, just like that. I feel like Thanos just snapped me out of existence, dude. Right. Oh, my bad. You're right. First rules. Like, I forgot about that. Chuck.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I gotta know. Favorite 3 anime characters. We talked about your love of Krillin. I like that you went with Krillin, man.
Krillin's number one, I guess. Anime characters, man.
Across the board, Chuck. Anything. Fair game.
It's Krillin. It's Afro Samurai, and who else? You think? And even though I've only watched like maybe one season of One Piece, but Luffy is I really enjoy Luffy and how that underdog and that adventurous and that hope. I do a lot of characters that go through a lot of terrible shit, but he's a really hopeful character, a really positive character. I really love him. Yeah. And Deco from My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia. Okay.
Yeah, Deco.
Okay.
Yeah.
You throwing in something a little new, even though that thing is like 10, 15 years old.
Right. I'm not new, but it's not.
I still consider that new anime.
It's new to me, right? But it's been around for a while.
Yeah. Here's a good question. If you could draw like any artist, who do you think would best fit what you have in mind when writing? Yeah, who do you envision when you're writing stories in comic format?
Greg Capullo, Todd McFarlane, that type of style. Yeah, that's kind of what I do. Sanford Green, of course, that type of style. Something stylized, something unique, something different. Something kind of.
You better, Sanford's gonna be watching this later, going, okay. He said Sanford, we're good. It's like 12 years old now. Ouch. My Hero Academia for real.
I believe it. Yeah.
Just time, man. Just like that. You get to be a certain age, and it just like my dad would tell me these things, especially when you have kids. When you have kids, it's like time just flies. You won't even realize it before you know it. Like 1 year will be over. And sure enough, I mean, that's the way it is. It is insane how fast time flies by.
Yeah. Buying back 1 minute and going to the prom the next. So it's wild. Yeah.
I'm 17. Should I read Berserk? I mean, you're not my kid. I'm going to go ahead and say sure. Just don't tell your dad some dude on YouTube told you to go read it.
Right.
Maybe wait a year. Okay, that's the responsible response right there. That's actually the responsible response.
Right.
Let's see. So we talked about your favorite anime. We talked about your favorite movie. We talked about Scar, and there is a link in the description of the video for people that want to join the Kickstarter. It's a very successful Kickstarter, which I'm really happy to see because I really like these books. Each one of these books is so different, and each one has their own style. And Bitterroot is available in omnibus format, but Chuck's other stories are as well. There's a trade paperback. I think there's just one trade paperback of the follow-up to Bitterroot, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Right. That's called The Next Movement, which takes place in the 1960s with a different set of characters and an extended family. So
yeah, and hopefully there'll be more of that to make an omnibus format. And then you have Flawed, which came out in a trade paperback.
Right. Flawed, it came out in trade. You may be able to find this in stores, but it's definitely on Amazon, or you can get it from me at a convention. And of course, there's On the Stump that came out through Image as well. So
when did On the Stump come out?
On the Stump came out in 2019.
So that one's probably still available too.
It may. I don't know. It may be in stores. I'm not really sure, but
okay.
It may be on Amazon, but I prefer you buy it from a comic book store than Amazon if you can, or from me at a store, So for me at a con or whatever, or a local comic book shop if you can. So.
And you went through all the cons you're attending this year, so
yeah,
you ain't got excuses, people. You can buy it from Chuck himself,
right?
And he'll sign it for you.
Absolutely.
I'm not his agent. I just assume he's going to sign.
I will sign it for you. Yes, I will sign it for
you. Chuck, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. I'm so glad I finally got to talk to you. I've been wanting to talk to you for years. You and Sanford and Dave. I love what you guys did with Bitterroot, and I'm loving that you guys are now. Shoot, man, you got Sanford hanging out with Jonathan Hickman writing Dr. Doom stories.
That's dope, right? That's dope.
That's why he's like, I can't return that call back, man.
Right.
I can't go back to Bitterroot right now. But one day.
Maybe you get all three of us once we get our next book out. So that'd be dope. Yeah.
Dude, I would love to have all of you back. I'd love to have you back. It's been a blast. I'm so glad we got to talk about anime too and the things we were into when we were younger.
Yeah, man.
Nice. Get this next generation to check out some of that old hand-drawn anime. We didn't rely on CG and none of that. The artists were actually at the table drawing like crazy of animation. Go back, like you mentioned Ninja Scroll. You go back, that's Madhouse that did that. That animation, man, like so many frames per animation. It is insanity, guys. If you go back and watch it. But that is it, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Check out Chuck's work. I mentioned where you can find it. And again, the link to the Kickstarter that I think it still has a couple of weeks left, if I'm not mistaken. Let me triple check.
14 days left. 14 days left.
2 weeks left on the money. That's what okay. In 2 weeks left. It's on Kickstarter and it's for all the Disney villains. But that is it, everybody. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button on the way out. We are out of here. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
And